guys can't. I got this seat warm already. They're giving orders just to see how compliant we are.
Sitting there, I'd really be impressed.
Do you mind maybe moving down or up so that you're not blocking the periscope camera?
Sorry. What do you want me to go? I was told to move up.
I know you were.
Move up, move down, move up, move down.
This is,
Okay.
thank you. Oh, no, you can't.
You didn't tell me to.
You can sit up here. With
You
your
can
back
sit
to
here, you can
Yeah.
sit there.
Or you can sit over here. You like that spot over there? No, that's
That's
good.
a really good spot.
Well, welcome everybody. Very glad to have you here. I wish the rest of the people around were here, but that's their choice.
Gotta have food.
We got plenty of food for today. I can guarantee you that.
As if we need it.
I don't think we really need to introduce the four of us. I think everybody knows. If anybody doesn't know who the four of us are, please raise your hand so we can take the time. I'm Chuck, John Moores, Jay Cobble, and Cobble, sorry, and then Ken Altman. Just to give you a little background, we introduce ourselves some, but we really haven't told you what we do with the owners group. I think most of y'all already know that I'm the president, and when I say president, I mean we try and really emphasize the fact that we are pro tem or temporary officers and directors, because until we actually have a membership and we have the ability to vote by our bylaws, which I'm printing off right now, by the way, we do not have permanent officers. So we're only in the positions that we're in until we officially have an election to elect permanent officers. And permanent officers, when I say that, the term that we defined in the bylaws for officers is 4 years. Okay, and there will be staggering terms for some after the first election, so that we can not rotate all the officers at the same time going forward after the first election. So we thought that it would probably be best to kind of start off with a history of how we got to where we are today. And it's pretty simple. John can tell you that since the 2012 rally, the first rally they had, the concept of having an owners group or owners club or something of that nature has been in existence. And it's been discussed at every rally since the first one in 2012. Last year we did that again. We actually held a meeting before the rally actually started with, and we basically just said anybody who is interested in even discussing the concept of an owners group, we'd love to get together and just brainstorm to figure out what that might be. And we had a very good turnout at that meeting. And we spent a couple hours working through what we thought, talking about what the owners group potentially could look like, and if we had an owners group, what would we want to focus on. And we had several bullets came out of that. Let me make my computer come alive. Okay, so in a nutshell, the things that we talked about is people felt very strongly that we wanted to have a direct relationship with Redwood Crossroads. Okay, they wanted to make sure that regardless of anything else, we wanted to make sure that we had input, whether it direct input or whether it be a liaison with Redwood and Crossroads. All right. They also said that the two-way dialogue was essential with the executives from Redwood and Crossroads. They said they wanted to have to improve dealer relations. Another one was to start off as a national organization, but also have the ability to eventually break off, and not break off, but add layers so that we could have regional and perhaps even state chapters of the owners group. Okay. newsletters and communications with owners, a welcome letter to new owners indicating that there is an owners club or an owners group. That was important. Education was up there on the list. Software, instructions such as how-to videos, how-to helps, those kind of things. Webinars, seminars, troubleshooting, FAQs, an owner's welcome package, and rallies was on there, rally planning. Okay, so those are kind of in a nutshell. I mean, there were some other things we talked about, but those were the major things. Another one that came up was forums. Just to give you guys a little history, I mean, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Andy Cripe talked a little bit about it yesterday. Started off, there was an owners forum that was run by Redwood. Redwood had the forum, they owned it, they managed it, they did everything with it. As they decided that they wanted to get out of that business, Dave Mollick, Dave and Jenny, for those of you who are forum people, did not want to see that happen, so he very, vocally on the existing forum said, we don't want this to die, I'm going to explore starting another forum to replace the one that Redwood was doing. At the same time, Tony Lane, where you at? Tony, you here with us? He's not with us right now. Tony Lane here is actually here at the rally. And he was already in the process of developing another one because he knew the same thing was going on. So he got in contact with Dave and said, I'm already developing a forum. And so Dave and him got together and they figured out how to make it work as one forum. Well, in the meantime, Redwood sold the forum that they started to a company called Social Knowledge. Okay, so instead of having one forum, from that day on, we've had two. So when we started talking about forums last year, the conversation kind of evolved to, we don't want two forums, we want one forum. Okay, but the caveat to that is that what they wanted is they wanted the forum to be owned and operated by the owners group. And let me take a little time to explain that. The other forum, and I'll just refer to that as the forum that has advertising.
Commercial forum.
The commercial forum. As you know, that is owned by a company, okay? And they have control over that forum, and there were a lot of people here who felt uncomfortable with the fact that should they decide that they don't want to be in the forum business anymore, or should they decide they want to sell it to somebody else, there's no assurance that that forum will continue. And they could just take it down, and all that data that's on there, all that information there, is just gone. And we have no way to recuperate it. So the owners who were here felt very strongly that we wanted a single forum, but we also wanted to have the owners themselves be in control of it. Okay? We moderate it, we control it, we manage it, we make sure that it's available. So that's kind of where we evolved to. In addition, they also felt that it was very important that we not just have a forum, but we also have a website so that we can go beyond the capabilities of the forum. Forum is great if you want to have a two-way dialogue about stuff, but if you want to have a resource pool of information, it makes it extremely difficult. Okay, so they said they wanted to have that ability. They also wanted to have the ability to be able to perhaps have restricted areas to the website so that only members will be able to access the data that would be behind that. So basically what that would require is you'd have to have a login and a password to get into the member protected area. So that was last year at the rally. While we were there, we had that meeting prior to the rally start. At the end of that meeting, we made a comment that we were going to try and get with Jim and Andy Cripe during the rally and sit down with them and explain, the conversations that we had had. We did that. I talked to Jim before the rally actually started and told him that we wanted to meet with him and Andy, and he was excited. So 4 of us, after they did their introduction last year in their Q&A, the way they did it last year was they started off with the Q&A, and then they started with the vendor presentations, LCI and the other vendors that were here. So after they finished their Q&A, then Jim and Andy Patterson, and myself went into Andy's coach, and we sat down with Jim and Andy Cripe, and we explained what had transpired in our meeting earlier, and asked if they were interested in us doing this. And they were both ecstatic. They had questions, and we answered the questions as best we could. So they actually made a commitment to us that they would give us financial support to start up the owners group. So after the rally, Andy Patterson and I kind of brainstormed a little bit. We came together, and eventually what we did is we formed a small group of individuals to help start with the development of the business, because we felt it was very important that if we were going to do this, we were going to do it right. We were going to become a business entity independent of Redwood, and that we would pursue it from that perspective. So Andy and I started the ball rolling. We selected a small number of people to help us, and the people we chose to help were people who attended the rally, who had expressed a desire to get involved. Not all of them, because there was about 8 people who expressed the desire to be involved. But we wanted to keep it small, because if any of you guys have ever been involved with committees, the more people you have, the more complex it gets. So we wanted to keep it very small to start with. Not that we were trying to exclude anybody. We weren't trying to be selective, and be the neat guys versus the other guys. It was who we thought would best be able to represent from that group of people what we were trying to accomplish with a very small group of people. So at that point we added John and we added Ken. And John wasn't at last year's rally, but John and I have been talking since we met back in 2013 about owners groups. I mean, the first time I ever met him, we were both in North Carolina, and we were like 20 miles apart from each other, and we sought each other out, and we got together and met. And I think the first sentence out of our mouth was, "What about an owners group?" I mean, it was pretty quick. But anyway, so I knew John already had background with it, and that's why I asked him to come on. Okay, so the 4 of us basically put the thing together. First thing we did is we came up with the bylaws. Anybody who's ever tried to start a business, when you incorporate, the first thing they want to know is they want to know what your articles of incorporation are and all those other things that go along with it. So we developed the bylaws first, and then after we did the bylaws, then we went ahead and went through the process of incorporating. By that time, though, we had already added Jay. You may have been in the first batch. Yeah, so I'm sorry. It was all 5 of us that actually started it. Seems like it's been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, and this actually started, I mean, the rally last year was in August, so we really started in September. We incorporated in April? Yeah, okay. Yeah, January or February, somewhere in there is when we actually incorporated. So you can see how much lead time we had just trying to get this thing right.
20th of January.
There you go. Okay, after we incorporated, then we filed for not-for-profit status with the IRS. Okay? Anybody ever done that before?
Yes,
How long does it take?
for us it was a year.
Yeah, we're still waiting. So we filed for IRS not-for-profit status as a 501c7. Yeah, C7, which is a recreational group, basically. Okay. So we're still waiting from the IRS to get our approval for not-for-profit status, but we are incorporated with the state of Indiana as a not-for-profit business. Okay. Okay. So we're clicking along. We've got bylaws. We've got an incorporation. We're a business entity. So now, okay, now what are we going to do? In our bylaws, we define our board of directors as 4 officers: the president, vice president, the secretary, and treasurer, and 4 directors at large. We define 3 different membership. A member, which is an owner of a Redwood or any of the Redwood products. A Redwood/dealer member. employee, and maybe one was employee and the other one was dealer, but there's basically three levels, if I remember, there's three levels of membership.
And free members, that's my rule.
And if you're a member and you sell your coach, then you can become a past member. Maybe that's what they're, okay? But you can still maintain a membership, but not a voting membership. The only voting members are owners, okay? So that's basically the structure of the organization. The way we develop the bylaws, it defines a national club. It also defines regional and state clubs. And we will have a copy of the bylaws available, a hard copy, but we've also put a copy of the bylaws up on the ROG website, okay? There's nothing to hide there. We have nothing to hide. So that's in a nutshell where we are. So at this point, we go back to this original list that I read from of what do people want from an owner's group. And we start trying to work down through that to the point where we've really twisted. We're going to be honest with you guys. We have really struggled for how we go from here, because part of that was we really wanted to see what the results of the survey were this year. Because if you remember, those of you who did the survey, there were specific questions in the survey that dealt with an owner's group.
Who, by show of hands, did the survey?
Yeah, just out of curiosity. Okay, that's good. Thank you guys for taking the time to do that. So we knew that there were going to be questions in there, but we also wanted to see your faces and ask you directly, you know, the question. So, any questions so far? Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask Ken to kind of take over, and let's go through some of the survey stuff.
I was supposed to read the survey.
Huh?
Survey?
I have it on the computer. Yeah, go ahead.
The board of directors, and they have any oversight over that, or just
What do you mean by oversight?
well, you know, sometimes the board even wants to look at the board and
We do have the,
kind of just a non-voting kind of,
so there is in the bylaws a provision regarding an audit committee.
yes.
So
Yeah, let's make it loud so everybody can hear it. Her question is, do we have any oversight over the board? And the answer is yes. In our bylaws, we define that there has to be a finance committee, and their job is to make sure that he's doing his job. There is a membership committee who will be responsible for the process of you know, recruiting and signing on members, and basically all the functions that go along with membership. There is a bylaws committee, so that when changes are desired in the bylaws, it'll go to the bylaws committee. They'll review it, they'll make a recommendation to the board. The board will ultimately decide whether we should vote on it or not. But when we become real, folks, then any change to the bylaws will require a majority vote of the membership. Okay? There's a newsletter committee. There's probably 5 or 6 committees in there that are defined at this point in time. A rally committee, I think there's something like that. So we tried to think it through. You know, we tried to make it legal. We tried to be completely upfront, so that there is absolutely no question of the operation of the board, the operation of the ROG is being straight up and trying to be in contact with the members as much as possible.
And I'll just amplify that also a little bit. In the meeting we had with Andy and Jim and those guys, I think we were extremely transparent in saying, you know, thank you, we are the board, we want to help, but understand you could be looking at 4 different faces next year.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So, but before he starts on that, let me add one thing. The intent was that we would have members by the time the rally got here, and we were going to, the way our bylaws are written is, the annual meeting for the owners group is to be done at the national rally. Okay? That's the way the bylaws are written. So, we fully intended to have members by now and to vote on permanent officers at this rally. Now, there's also means in there for proxy voting and that kind of stuff. So you don't necessarily have to be at the rally to be able to vote on things. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think one of the reasons why we have a website, everybody who participates in that is required to have a user ID and a password. And you have the ability actually in the system, although it is not enabled, to do subscriptions and to actually sign members up and collect money. John went through and did the whole PayPal thing and blah, 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 or have the encrypted form so you can put your credit card in and so forth. At the time that we went from the development stage to the testing stage, we needed people to help. And the beta process basically went through a private beta, which was an invite-only beta, to a public beta, which is kind of where we're at right now, but not exactly. We're actually in production, but it's still the original test site. The sense was, what I got, for me anyway, and I brought it to the board as a concern, I was like, listen, we're asking these people to help test the site. We can't ask people to pay to help test the site. And it kind of went on from there to say, well, we also forever want to have access to the forum portion of the website for free for people that want to check out the forum to see if they want to buy a Redwood or they have questions. We are here to help the ownership and the wannabes and whatnot. And the people that want to participate at a higher level can participate at the higher level, but we always want to give them the access for that. So that's kind of where we're at. Right now, we struggle to say who is a member and who's not a member because a membership is tied to the VIN number of the vehicle. That's why, so basically one vote for each VIN. And anyway, that's where it is. So I think what Chuck asked me to do is kind of, he's smiling.
I'm smiling because I went to get a hard copy of the bylaws and my wife-
Yeah, right. That's kind of how I felt about the tripod. Doing me a favor, she's putting it away and I can't find it. The coach was not that big. Oh, yeah, would you mind? Thank you. So, a little bit of the history about the survey. Last year was the first time any owner put together a survey, and it was kind of a spin-off from the forum. And it actually dovetailed really well with the concept of being one voice, and a unified voice to go up to Redwood. And there was a lot of, squawking about this and squawking about that, and I really like this thing, and I really like that thing. And at some point I sat down and I said, why don't we just get a survey together? We'll put a wish list together, we'll present it to Redwood, and say, listen, this is your ownership telling you what we want. And I don't know how many of you went through the factory tour, but I can tell you they listened to that survey last year. And a lot of the questions that I asked on the wish list this year are actually redundant because they're already in the code. So that's kind of the history. Last year we had 63 responses. It was published really based just as an announcement on both forum sites and said, here it is, here's the link, blah, blah, blah. This year we had 205. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one, there was more of a concerted effort to get the word out. Two, the people that saw that it was coming up, people were already asking me, when are we going to do the survey this year? What are you going to put in it? And number three, we did a direct mailing. We used the database from the Tony L site, for lack of a better word, and mailed out and said, please respond. So I'm really pleased about that. That's a 300% year-over-year expansion. And I can see in this room about 50% of you people didn't do it, so I think that next year will be even better. The entire survey is like 60-odd pages long. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But it will be published on the ROG website. The only thing I'm not going to edit it. The only thing I'm going to do is redact any personal information, telephone numbers, email addresses. None of that's going to get out there, but the rest of it will go out there. There were sections. The sections of the survey, for the people that didn't take it, started with, what was your customer service experience with Redwood? What was your dealer experience when you went to look for it? The section I want to focus on today is, what is your expectations for the ROG. I think every one of us had, when we went through it the first time, it was really quite simple, and I'll give you the exact numbers. But basically, everybody wants the ROG, but they don't want to pay for it. That being said, I like that. That's not necessarily.
Any questions?
Yeah, right. Thank you. The responses are basically broken into three categories. People were asked on a scale of 0 to 10, what do you think about this? Where 10 is most important, 0 is least important. We've all done the surveys. But when the survey software kind of crunches it down, it breaks it into three groups. The top group is basically, I think, 8, 9, and 10. The middle group is 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the bottom group is 0 to 3. The top group is considered a promoter, or somebody who likes the idea. The middle group is kind of like, yeah, whatever. And the bottom group is like, don't like it. Okay? So with that, when the survey was asked, question number 51, the importance of a Redwood RV Owners Group organization. Oh, no. Not yet.
48, I think.
Here we go. The need to and value in maintaining an independent Redwood RV Owners Group. 58% said the top promoter. 22% said, yeah, that could be an okay idea. And only 18% said that was a bad idea. So if you can imagine, overwhelmingly people either think don't care if we have it, or think overwhelmingly it's a really good idea. The importance of the RV Owners Group providing technical information about the Redwood RVs. 68% said, yay. 20% said, yeah, that'd be good. And only 11% said, no, that's a bad idea. I don't know why people would not want it, but that's what the survey says. The importance of the ROG organizing a national rally, only 36%, or 1/3 said that was a good idea. And 43% said that was a bad idea. So if we listen to the membership, they like Redwood doing the national rally. The importance of the ROG organizing the national rally in different locations. Now, you can sort of take the idea out that if you say that they don't want the ROG to organize it, they want Redwood, so take that out and read the rally moving around. And 42% said that was a good idea, but 40% said no, it's a bad idea. So it's kind of 50-50. Just to go back to the fact that we use this to guide what we do, in our discussions here, we came up with a couple of really good reasons to have the rally here every year. And we heard a bit about that from Andy. But A, obviously the service center, B, the access to the Redwood staff, and so forth. What was the other one?
Possibility of Terry doing his.
There you go. Well, they can do that anyway, really.
Is that something we can talk about, Terry? Is that something we can talk about?
We can if you want to.
Terry, for those of you who don't know, Terry runs a business where he trains people to become RV inspectors, among other things. So that's one of his roles. Okay, and he has a 5-day course that he does, very, very intensive, on how to actually inspect an RV, how to do maintenance on them and all that. And I've talked to Terry several times, and I'm sure you've heard it from probably 100 other people. The idea of doing what he does, but in a condensed form for people like me that I don't really want to become an inspector, but I sure would like to be able to maintain my coach better. So what he's doing is he's trying to put together a course, 3-day? 3-day course where you could come in and he would go through the curriculum for the majority of the major components on our rigs. And if you want to talk about it real quick, just for a few minutes, that'd be fine, because you can tell it better than I can.
What we find is most of us Americans are hands-on learners, and I really accredit it to how we were set. Most of our relatives and our predecessors, they were hands-on people, they were practical. So we can sit in the classroom and you can dive by PowerPoint if you want to, but I have found is that we can cover the basics in a classroom, then come out and put our hands on it. Let's look at different things that we can do to our rig to maintain it. Guys, I have run service operations, and it used to amaze me what would be sitting in a service bay being worked on. We were charging $100, $125 an hour, and it's like, why is it here? These people could have done this. They could have flipped that circuit breaker, turned it off, turned it on. They could have reset that GFCI circuit breaker. So there's things that we can do ourselves. And what we're saying is that in 3 days' time, we can walk you through the 3 electrical systems that every RV has. Walk you through the propane, show you how the water systems are working, and then give you some of the, what we call the dirty dozen on the appliances. 12 most common things that you're going to run into with your water heaters, your furnaces, your refrigerator. Little things that we can do. It may be nothing more than taking an air hose and blowing out some trash and debris and some bugs out, so that way the water heater works a little better. So what we were looking at is that if you were interested, what we would do is we would have a pre-rally session. In other words, if we're doing the class, like you guys are doing the rally here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, well, why not 3 days beforehand if you wanted to come early and participate? We'll do that. But, bring your rig, come prepared, and what we'll do is we'll do some things in the class, come out here and let you put your hands on it. So that way you get that hands-on enforcement. Fear fades when you start understanding how things work. Now, there's some things that if you want to go deeper, yes, but it's a little bit more involved. But long and short of it, what we'll do is we'll take basically the same course that we're teaching these new RV technicians, and we'll just do it for us. So that way you guys can see, because there's no sense in you being in these service bases if you don't have to. So then we were having a conversation last night. Some folks said, well, what if we have some folks that come that hadn't heard about it, or maybe somebody thought, well, maybe I should have done it. Or maybe we do a second class after the rally. So these are some things that we can talk about.
Sounds good? Thank you.
So, just out of curiosity, there would be a fee for this, obviously. But just out of curiosity, how many of y'all think that might be a good idea? That's what I thought. Yeah. So, to piggyback on what he's saying, if we add something like that at the beginning of the rally, have a potential for you to have the minor repairs done here at the rally. Also, what Andy was talking about yesterday about beefing up the staffing at the service center the week before and the week after. So when they look at those forms and they go, yeah, this is too big for us to do out there at the campground, but we can sure get it in the service bay and do the work.
Or turn it back and do it.
Right. So they would basically, expand what they can do and bring in rigs to come in early or to stay after the rally to get additional work done. You think it might be worth doing it here?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, I do too. So that's what changed us from saying, well, let's move it around. Plus, you're going to hear later on, we're talking about doing regional rallies, so. What's that?
Take that opportunity to go to other places to other rallies.
It does, but don't get me wrong. You're not going to get anywhere near what you're going to get coming here to Indiana going to one of those. But that doesn't mean they're not going to be a good quality thing. So, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's quite all right. A lot of what we do is take have you ever watched CNBC where they always take both sides of the story? So he'll say one thing and I'll say the other. You may actually get a better experience at a rally. There's quite a number of people that have voiced that I can't get to Indiana. It's too far away. I live in Vancouver. But if it was in Seattle, I'd go. So there's opportunities on both sides to come here to do the big expanded national rally, and then opportunities to get a different experience at other locations. Moving on with the survey, I did the regional rally one. Where was I? No, that was just moving, right, okay. Show. The importance of RBO, of the ROG organizing local or regional rallies. Split. 40% say yay, 36% say nay, they wouldn't go. So even if you get 40% of the 4,000, almost 5,000 people saying they'd like to attend, that could be a very exciting thing to do. In fact, it's pretty much the same. But if you compare moving the national rally, say, yeah, 42% think that's a good idea, And 40% think it's a good idea to do local rallies. So there's definitely a need for that. The importance of the RV owners group hosting social events, like the one we're going to have this evening, at the rallies. 32% said yay, 43% said nay.
I don't know, I thought we had a pretty damn good time right now.
You're not part of that 42%.
I don't think so.
And that also, just to, again, we call it bling, but if we're going to take ROG money and allocate it towards a big old barbecue, everybody needs to benefit, number one, and the bigger the group, the more bling. But how do we pay for it? So, moving right along, here we go. When asked how to pay for it, it should be completely advertisement driven on the website. Only 13% said that was a good idea, 65% said that was a very bad idea. Doing commercial sponsorship, 15% said that was a good idea, 65% said that was a bad idea. Annual subscription, 7% said that was a good idea, 82% said that was a bad idea. Charging a fee to attend the national or regional rallies. 8% said that was a good idea. 78% said that was a bad idea. I smile at the funded by donations or voluntary contributions. 13% said that was a good idea. 70% said that was a bad idea.
Go ahead.
I think the answers you're getting on those questions were answers because nobody knew what it was going to cost. If you'd have said $5 or $10 or $25, you'd have different answers for the 10, 25, and that. You would have been better if you got answers for those questions, and I think that's where we're coming from.
Plus the fact, there are some of us that hadn't attended the rally, so we didn't really know how to gauge and observe the responses. So we're like shooting in the dark.
Well, that's comforting.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that's where the answers are coming from. because
Yeah.
we're gonna do
I'll do it after that.
I don't think anybody's gonna mind paying $5 for, if you wanted to buy a big ham or something like that. Or a bunch of hamburgers and everybody bring covered dishes.
That's what we're going to do this evening. This evening,
Well,
That's
with the
that's a
exception,
nominal fee.
we funded the cost of the meat for a second out of the treasury of the broad. But what you're saying is everybody contribute. We are also going to put out a little bucket there if anybody chooses to make a contribution to offset that cost. Simply, purely voluntary. If you choose to want to do that, that's fine. There's no requirement to. It's already paid for.
Maybe what you ought to do is another census and have a big parameter of prices. Stuff like that. Somebody has an idea how much they could.
can we show what Andy was talking about?
We can.
Yeah, well, my turn.
Um,
I'm a money guy.
He's a money.
They allow me to be the money guy, but I can count better than these two.
You have more toes.
I have more toes. Okay,
He was determined.
Yeah. I had people count for me. They did a hell of a job. But anyhow, we've gone through cost for the LLC. We've gone through cost for accountant to take care of putting together the nonprofit. We paid for all that. We were afforded some funds from Redwood to start seed money. It's not a recurring money. It's here's some to get started. Right now, we have to pay for the website. We have to pay for the renewal of the domain name. We have to pay, and that's an annual cost. We have to pay for the LLC to go. That's an annual cost. And we have to pay all the sunk costs for startup. So far, we've done it. And involving with those costs, we sat back and said, a club is a club. A club is supposed to do fun things. So as compared to just do instructional things. Every now and then you gotta do some fun stuff. Right? Well, fun stuff like Friday night. Okay, and we had little chips and dip and that kind of thing. And that wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. But that little chip and dip, believe it or not, I'm with you.
Well, I'm not surprised.
was, we budgeted 300,000.
Well, that was for this, the need for tonight,
And the meat for tonight, all right? So we have spent beyond it to ensure, because we have more people show up than we anticipated. Which was
not that that's a bad thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
All right, so all I'm trying to say is, folks, there's no way in heck we can perpetuate the club without some kind of a cost to the members.
Do you have a budget estimate annually?
Yeah, I got it right in front of me.
Let's do it.
You don't have to go over details.
Do we want to do this now, or you guys want to hear the rest of the survey first?
No, let's hear the budget.
Huh?
Let's hear the budget.
Okay, not a problem. If they want to hear the budget, let's do it.
All right?
Now understand, the numbers he's going to give you are based on a couple of assumptions, okay? And you want to tell them what the assumptions are, or you want me to tell them?
Go ahead.
The assumptions are, is we're going to maintain a website, and we potentially will do what we did this year to, to kick in some money towards the food for things like that. No funds for rallies, no funds for anything over and above that. Okay, so that's basically our fixed cost as we know them today. Printing for the stickers that are going in the new coaches. Did anybody see those?
Yes.
Huh? You did? Not the one I gave you yesterday.
Oh, it's not that one?
No.
Oh.
And I'm gonna give this to you. No, I'm not gonna give this to you. I'm gonna pass it around so you can look at it, but I'd like to get it back. Understand, we printed 500 of these for Jim. We gave it to him yesterday to take over to the factory so they can start putting them into new coaches coming off the line. But we are very strongly considering changing that and putting in the sticker that we gave you guys yesterday. Okay? Instead. And the reason I say that is because this right here is costing us $1.85 each. And the sticker we gave you guys yesterday cost 65 cents each.
Nobody's gonna read that, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Until they get.
We want absolute good positive feedback. So I'm gonna
Why
start here.
can't that just be printed on a piece of paper and put in?
Because we want it stuck on the inside door of the cabinet, so the first thing they see when they open that thing is the Redwood Illuminated. Okay? That's what we're talking about, or it's gonna be something similar to that in size and cost, rather than paying for this thing. Yes, ma'am.
I would say, I like that sticker, but maybe if you just put on there for more information, see Redwood RV owners.
And we would probably modify that one a little
Right,
bit,
yeah.
just to give them an idea. But when we found out what the cost of these was, we considered, well, what if we make them in 5x7 instead of whatever they are? And the cost went down like 10 cents a sticker, so we said, that's stupid.
And the decision point really is, do you put the information on the sticker, or do you simply have a tag that says, go to the website?
Anyway,
Why
what
can't
is
this
the
just be a piece of paper that's in their kitchen?
Right.
And the sticker is on the cabinet permanently.
We can do that.
We can do that?
Then you get both things.
The fundamental thing
I
is,
would read it if I hold it in my hand and read it. That way you get both things, and it only costs you 65 cents.
we hear you. And the bottom line is we got to do something different than what we just did. So the next 500 coaches that go off the line, they're going to have that in it. And then after that, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Jim's going to give me a heads up when he's down to about 100 of those things left. And then we'll print out something else and send it to them.
If they're willing to do a stuff, then they're good. Because it's up to them, it's their labor. Okay?
When I talked to him about that, he was not receptive to that. Because those things are all, it's complicated. But he made the agreement that if we give them stickers, they'll get them inside that cabinet and they'll be out there. So when the people open up their cabinet to put their slides out or whatever, that thing's going to be looking at them in the face.
Is he gonna give you the?
So what's the number, Jeff?
We've already got we got a data dump from them back
4 months ago?
3 or 4 months ago. But the way they present the data to us, it's so convoluted that it's extremely difficult. We had one guy that spent like 2 weeks, he and his wife, trying to break all the information apart. They give us one block of data that has the customer's name, their phone number, and their address in one data field and an Excel spreadsheet. So, you know, if you try and do anything with that, it's just like,
The good news is that they are, as Andy pointed out, upgrading their CRM software. And they're also going to implement their own satisfaction survey to the new owners. And hopefully on that, they'll ask for the email. We did look at, the reason why we took the time to go and break the data down was we were considering doing a mailing to the people, you know, introducing the rug. We still may do that,
right.
but at least initially, the cost was about $1 a piece.
You remember what I said, one of the things they identified was a welcome letter? We were gonna do that. We had a mailing at that point in time, like 3,200 people. And we started figuring out what it was gonna cost us to mail 3,200 pieces of mail. And we said,
You know, let's
we'll run
step
out of
back
money
a
real
little.
quick. So we didn't do it.
All
All right, John, you're up.
Okay, so what we have, this is the budget predicated on the cost that we spent and those that we know that are recurring. Okay? So, website data processing, round figure $500. Corporate agent fee is $75. We have our mailbox is $300 a year. LLC renewal, I think, is $30. Audit services is $0 because I went to... All right, can you hear me now?
Now,
All right, I'll start over. Website data processing, $300. I'm sorry, $500. Corporate agent fee, $75. Bank fees at this time, $0. Mailbox, $300. LLC renewal, $30. Audit services, $0, and I'll explain that. Because I went to a couple of accountants where I live, and they said, you don't need it with what you're doing. What you need is someone who's a member to do a review. And that would fall under the audit committee. And that's what they would have to do. Stickers for the coaches. Right now, this year, we spent $1,012. All right, so that gave us 500 of the big ones and 250 of the little. Okay? With that in mind, we don't have to spend that next year predicated on number of coaches coming off the line, but I think our
Well, we're not gonna spend it anyway, because we're not gonna do the big sticker.
we're not going to do the big sticker. We're going to let them run out. Go.
That $1,000, does that also include the signs, or is that a separate line?
That's a separate line item.
We didn't budget for that for next year.
No. The signs that you see,
Sun signs.
that you receive, with your names on them, little sticks and down the nose, that was, our cost was $330. Now, those are made to be durable. Hopefully, you'll bring back. We bought 75 of those, so we have a few left that we can provide for the attendees next year.
Right, and we'll probably have to
Right.
do more.
And we'll probably have to do more. But that's not, that was a add-on, that was not a standard budget item that we had planned for. It came like a week or 10 days before.
That was a request from Vaughn, and we saw what it was gonna cost him to print those up. He came, or John actually was talking to him about paying Bill on the other stuff, and they agreed that we would take a vote on it by our raw board as to whether we would pay for them, and we did.
that's what we
Give you Bill a last.
Yeah. So, and we're gonna get back to that in a minute, but we have admin postage supplies, we have $25 a year. We're not even spending half of that. Okay? Well, at this point.
Yeah.
At this point. I'm a preference of having everything electronic over the net, if you can do that. But if you can't, you can't. So we maybe have time to have to spend some of that money. Dinner, social hour at the annual rally, we budgeted $300. We have spent more than that. Okay? I think, from a club perspective of having some camaraderie and get-togethers, that's an important expenditure. A lot of people may or may not agree with that, but I feel that you've got to keep the club people who know everyone, each other, in a friendly environment, and not an environment where you're doing instructional learning. So that's why we have the meet on Friday, and we're having, this, tonight we're doing the meat item for Pop Up. Now, I don't know if the president wants to get into any, hey, would you rather have this change or that change?
Not yet,
Show
not
of
yet.
hands.
I think we just need to let them know
But-
where we're coming from on our budget. But the total of that comes to, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little over $2,000 a year.
That's right, Ed.
Budgeting for what we know today,
Yeah.
okay?
So, our startup costs were just about $2,000. And we received these funds, and a little bit more from Redwood. As, like I said, you see, we received all these dollars as a seed money from Redwood. That kind of means they're not going to go dip into their till and give us another chunk.
Every time we go knock on the door, I don't think that dog's gonna.
Right. So, although they want to be a big supporter of us, they've said that on multiple occasions. But we're going to get with that. So predicated.
Well, I mean, we crunched the numbers on that. It's not real rocket science to figure out. If you base it on 100 members, $2,000 in expenses, 100 members. Anybody want to give me the math on that? 20 bucks a person, a rig. But, so we can come to you and say, okay, we want to charge dues 20 bucks a year. That's great, but do we want to expand? Do we want to do something different than what we're doing now?
Or more.
Or whatever. So rather than tell you that, we're being perfectly honest with you, saying, we don't know what the dues are going to be because we don't know what you guys, not just you guys, but the owners in general, we don't know what direction we want to go. And if we're going to grow, we need to take that into consideration as one of the potential ways that we can fund this organization.
How about similar organizations? Landmark,
Heartland.
all those, what do they charge?
Heartland, the first year you join, it's, don't quote me on the numbers, but I'm going to give you generalities, it's about 70 or 80 bucks. And with that, you get the, anybody familiar with the thing they give you for FMCA?
Yeah.
Okay. The little oval thing goes on your ladder, you get one of those, and you get some other bling.
T-shirt.
No, I don't think there's any t-shirts.
I want a T-shirt.
Yeah, but they're, and then after the first year, I think their dues go down to 30 a year. Okay?
Get yourself here in the stock.
We're not a publicly traded company, so
I'm going to a bus, that's what we traded. You're allowed to have up to 5 shares max,
One thing with,
and they put out 500 shares total, and do it out.
it's something we could explore. I'm not going to discount anything because, we're perfectly open to any option we can find that the majority of our members feel is, the way to go. So.
The more you do, the more you have to manage that.
Well, what's happened there, because they put a cap of 500, today, they're actually selling, you can only get one with buying from a member that already purchased one. They're going for 250 bucks.
the problem with that is we're trying to determine an ongoing revenue stream with if you would, an IPO or just creating a pool of stock. That's a one-time deal that you could do it over time, but it's not going to be an ongoing revenue stream. The other thing that, and I just throw this out real quick, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, but there's 2 things I'd like to mention. Number 1, built into the website is the ability to have a storefront. So one way to generate revenue would be t-shirts, coffee cups, mugs, things like that, logo. Now, I don't know if anybody would be interested in, but that's one form also of what we can sell. The other thing is, and I think this is really important, in the conversations we had with Andy and Jim, they felt pretty strongly that there needs to be some ownership of the group. They want to help us a lot, but they don't want to do the whole thing. So I think that's where we were kind of trying to figure out how we could not do dues, that would be, obviously they don't necessarily have to direct us, but as a corporate sponsor, they can say what they would be willing to sponsor, if you will. So that's all, that's it, what I want. Thank you.
Okay, under the stock
And
program, I was talking about, if you're a stock member, you pay $35 a year, and if you're not, you pay $50 to be a member. So it's still due.
Okay.
That's, probably need to explore that a little more. I mean, it's an
Yeah,
option.
it's an
certainly
option,
is.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
As a startup, well, first of all, I gotta just thank all of you guys for everything you've done. I mean, we can't even calculate. I love the way John spends money because he doesn't have it, and somehow we did it. So,
Hey, I was in the Army for 40 years. I spent everybody's money.
we are really efficient.
Spend money you don't have.
My concern about the budget is that it's very slim. And I know you can't build beyond because you don't know what we want to do. I get that. I've been through a number of business startups, and if you underfund in the beginning, especially around membership, because there's 60 or 70 a year and 4,000 that we haven't talked to you. But I say this more, not for you guys, but for all of us, to be mindful that we've got to build the right budget and fund it appropriately, rather than just too slim and we all go home and agree to $10 and we never grow beyond this. But I like what you're doing. There's membership levels. You could have basic. I mean, there's lots of ways to fund something like this.
Well,
But
we did one thing, when we were, let me give you a little more background. When we first started talking about membership, as I told you, there was a regular member, which is basically an owner, and in order to qualify for that, when you register, you would have to give us your VIN, okay? We go back to the database for Redwood and compare to see whether your VIN matches your name. Okay, now that causes some problems in some ways, because if you're a resale, Redwood perhaps probably doesn't have your name. So we would have to investigate that, okay? But, so initially when we first started talking about membership, we took the preliminary budget that we had created, which isn't what we just went through. It was formulated on, at the time that we started the venture to start the business, estimating what we thought costs were going to be for both the startup cost and for what we thought were going to be operating costs for the year. And we came up with a figure of $30 per person, or per rig, okay? So at that point we said, okay, some people are really not going to be interested in getting the plaque and all that stuff. All they want to do is they just want to have a membership. So we said, okay, membership fees will be $30 a year for the first year. And if you want to do all the bling, then we set the price at $90 US, 100 Canadian. Okay? And again, this is going back 4 months ago or whatever it was.
Way more than that.
Yeah, I've lost time, just lost track of time. But anyway, so that's where we were at. And then if you wanted a commercial membership, there was a fee, but I don't think we even fully developed that at the point. So that's where we were at initially. But because, as Ken said, we really wanted to move the website forum forward so we could get people to start testing on it, we just said, all right, we're just going to throw the membership fees off to the side right now, let them sign up. We'll change it on the site, so now when you register, I think the only option you really have is free.
So it's free. All the other ones are just.
Yeah, the other ones are all hidden, basically. So,
Show of hands, if it was $30, who would join today?
With an exception.
What's the exception?
What's an exception? I'm sorry.
No, what is
He and I do not have the same opinion. My vote is not the same as his vote. I own as much of that coach as he owns of that coach. And I'm sorry, I'm not voting the same as he is. I've got my own mind. This one vote per VIN, baby, not for me.
Interesting.
Maybe we should vote on that.
I don't know how are you going to divide your one vote? Do every couple here agree with everything that their spouse says?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. It's 38 after all. If the membership, if the vote was tied to the membership, you needed a VIN, but you'd be able to get multiple memberships on a VIN rather than just one member, one VIN. Would that be something that would be workable?
Yes, for me,
So you
yes.
both would sign up and you both pay $30 and you both get a vote. I mean, put it on the agenda for the next board meeting.
You know, I'm not willing to, and what do you do if the two of you can't compromise over it?
No,
You decide not to do it at all?
Then technically your vote wipes each other out, it really doesn't matter.
Let's table that. We have a recommendation.
Yeah.
We will, you
Well, I
know,
mean,
it's doable.
You doubled your membership on
Right.
Redwood potential.
So instead of, you know, the reason why we went to one vote per coach, simply because it was, okay? And whether the wife or the spouse, either spouse showed up to a meeting, didn't make a darn bit. And that's why that was probably done. And the only time you're gonna have votes,
well, the other, let me address that, because there was another reason. What if the coach is owned by a single person?
yes.
That means they get 2 votes?
No, what it means is you buy a membership by your personage, not necessarily by your vehicle.
And that would
Still has to be tied to the.
They would.
That would double your membership dues.
Okay. All right. We have another recommendation.
I'll make a motion with 1 vote per rig.
We have a
I agree.
third recommendation.
All right, we're not formal, but I'll go ahead and go with this game. I have a,
I'm gonna let the president take this. But before we do that, we have a recommendation from this lady here indicating.
we're gonna go by rules. Let me get the vote on, let me get the motion on the floor, and then we can have discussion. Okay, so stand by a
So
second.
we have a motion on the board.
I have a motion and I have a second that we limit membership to 1 vote per rig. Is that what I've got?
Yes.
Okay. Open discussion. Yes, ma'am.
My idea was one person, the fee is $30, 2 people is like $45 or $50 on the membership fee.
But
Okay.
you're gonna be able to track it if they're together. And you said something about having to be 2 separate memberships, right?
That's what she proposed. But, it never came to a motion. Yes, sir.
The homeowners association, regardless of whether you have both names on the deed or not, you get 1 vote from the association, so there's no difference. To my thinking,
Okay.
that's what we're doing here.
Okay. So, any other comments?
I think what I'm hearing is that it's just like a racial issue or something like that, okay? If you got a single person owning the coach, okay, and you got a whole bunch of couples, right? That single voice, because he's got a PIN number, should have the same amount of rights as a couple has. You break a couple down to man and woman, okay? And the woman wants to have the same rights the man wants to have, okay? And there's no compromise there, okay? Now that's 2 people, right? So you got 2 votes. And again, you may have a woman owning the coach and driving one. I saw a woman driving a motorhome here all by herself, pulling in with a car behind her, Class A. Couldn't find a job. In fact, my friend does that. She drives all over the U.S. all by herself. My wife won't even get behind my fucking pole. So that's the issue, okay? And if you look at that issue on just that basis, then membership has to be tied at the same amount to the vote. Otherwise, it's still going to be, you're going to get this club into something that the club doesn't want to get into.
All right.
That's my own thinking.
Thank you. Anybody else?
You don't like it to be 1 membership per coach, and 1 vote for each damn member.
That's what it's saying.
If you only got a single, then you only got 1 vote. If you got a couple, then the single's gonna be discarded because it's not fair to the single.
even though they're both just owners?
Actually, if you got a couple, the whole point of this lady was if she doesn't want to vote with her husband or partner, I don't know how the marriage is, but at any rate, if they disagree, it's gonna neutralize the vote anyway, so what's the difference? You know, you can sit in your coach and say, how do we want to vote on this, if there's something to vote on, and make up your mind. If you disagree, it's going to negate the vote anyway.
Just don't vote. You good? Okay, back there?
What national security votes are we going to be putting out? I mean, what's so important to me about who we're voting on?
Well, I mean,
we need two votes.
we're basically talking about accepting budgets, we're talking, and, you know, I mean, anything that would require a vote of membership. So the only time the membership truly votes is the way the bylaws are written right now, is when we have a national meeting and we come together to vote on officers, vote on a budget, vote on whatever it may be. But
Bylaw changes.
bylaw changes. So that's what we're talking about as far as voting members, okay? So I still have a motion on the floor with a second that we, help me again, I forgot it now.
One vote per.
All right, one vote, which I'm not, we'll vote on it, but it doesn't make any change to our bylaws, so, because that's the way the bylaws are written now. You know, Ben gets one member vote, basically. So, any other questions before I call the vote? All right, I'll call the vote. All members here who are in favor of the motion to limit a single membership to one vote, one based on a Ben, is that what I understood? The Ben number gets one vote. Raise your hand. All right, all opposed? Noted. We have a couple of votes against. Okay, so what that says is we make no change to the bylaw. Okay, so that's basically the way they're written. Okay. All right.
Made it through the first one.
All right. So can we go back to Ken now with the survey so we can continue going through what he's got? Still got more, right?
There is, I mean, we've kind of hit on the high points. I think you all appreciate our dilemma with regards to funding. What I'm hearing right now is if we're in the ballpark of $30, you guys can sign up right now, here and now. So
Well,
I think, yes, sir.
Well, I agree with that assessment. I personally, we personally wouldn't have. Got that out there. You know, we could go above 30. I mean, I appreciate that your survey said something, but they're,
ultimately,
you know, I would try to find out what the membership feels this is worth.
Go ahead.
So a couple things. Well, in our discussions with Andy and Jim, they felt strongly that the owner group needs a value. And as we pointed out numerous times, we don't know exactly where this is going. We looked at some of the other owners groups, and they're in the $65 to $75 range. If we look at what the minimal amount that we've done so far and getting this really rolling, $65 to $75 would definitely help that cause, if you will. The incredible thing that actually knocked me off my feet is he threw out, I don't know exactly right now what this is going to look like, but Redwood may pay for the first year, like they do with CoachNet. And for the second year, they'd pick up, say, $45 of the $65, so the net cost to the owners would be about $20. And then maybe by year 5, the owner himself would be responsible for the whole thing. The other thing that he's going to explore, or they're going to explore, is linking with some of their vendors, for instance, CoachNet, that see if they can put any leverage on them to say, okay, if you're a ROG member, you get a $20 discount. And therefore, the net result to the owner is zero, assuming that you're going to sign up for CoachNet. So these are just things that are being explored. I personally would not want to commit ourselves to any number right now, other than to say it's good to hear from you that the survey, although it is statistically accurate to the people that took it doesn't necessarily represent what everybody is thinking, and I can understand the caveats, what are we talking about and what are you going to do with the money? So that's great. I'm going to move on just
Before we do, I want to make sure people understand. I know of a couple of costs that are not in this that we're going to have to deal with. Okay, number one is mailing. We don't talk about mailing in there a whole lot, but if we're going to become a membership organization and people join, we need to determine what they're going to get when they join. And regardless of whether it's a sticker or whether it's whatever it may be, there's going to be mailing costs involved in that. Okay? So that's not in there. That's an unknown number right now because we don't know what we're going to provide. All right? Rally, not necessarily rally fees, but rally expenses to meet. Okay? If we decide we want to do any kind of logo item for the rally, that's an unknown cost at this point in time. So realistically, that $30, that $45, that $50, $60 a year could be real. Okay? So we don't know. And that's one of the things that we want to try and get input from you guys. And again, understand this is only a small sampling of the membership, but you guys are here and we have you as a captive audience per se. All right? So, and I don't mean that in that means, but I mean, you're looking at me and I can ask you questions and you can give me answers. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Are we not, oh, sorry.
No, let her go first. I wanted to green shirt. I'm sorry.
Would it be difficult to separate out the social, for instance, have a $30 or $40 fee for Riggs, for the membership, but then when we have a social group like this that we're only benefiting from the food, there's like a $10 donation or something like that.
That's
per
easily done.
couple.
Sure, that's easily
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
If
have.
that's how you want to work it as a group, that's
Yeah.
easily done.
I think the rally should be in.
I'm sorry? Woman in the red. I'm sorry. Looks red to me.
I'm trying to remember what it was I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say, are we not going to establish the membership fee today? Is it that
Probably
we're just
not,
throwing
because-
numbers out?
We're basically using hypotheticals at this point in time.
Because we
Well, I
didn't
think
want to start
we're getting close.
collecting.
Although
I don't think we
we're
can
getting
commit
close.
ourselves until we
Close,
know.
sir. And remember, we can set a fee now and go back and address it later in the year or next year at the rally and say, okay, this is where we're at right now. This is where we'd like to go. In order for that to happen, we're going to have a dues increase or a dues decrease depending on. Understand, we have no desire to build a war fund. We want to have enough money to be able to pay the bills, and that's it. We're not for profit. We're not trying to make, we're not trying to pay
When are you
dividends.
planning on starting the membership?
As
You know,
soon
I
as
mean,
we
you
can,
can't start
as
the
soon as we can
membership
make a
till you know how much
decision
you're
that,
gonna-
as soon as we can make a decision on where we're gonna go. At this point, one of the things we're really considering is having the first year is free. We have money in the bank to pay the bills this year based on the expenses we anticipate.
So ultimately, everybody that has signed up for the website is a member because they signed up as a free citizen.
Although
The meeting is going to be at next
we would
week.
make you go back and register again, because almost everybody who signed up didn't put their VIN number in, so we don't know whether they're really an owner or not at this point, okay? So we would have to probably figure out a way to go back and renew that process. If we do that, I guess you covered it in your meeting over there about
What I can
member
do-
versus guest,
Yeah, well, guest is somebody that's not signed in.
but they can still use the form.
They can view the form if they're not signed in, but they cannot post.
Okay, so in order to.
In order to post, you need to have
A member.
a membership. What we could do is very easily, we send out an email, because we have a lot of confirmed emails of people that signed up, that their VIN was not entered. And I can send an email out 3 months before the rally and say, if you would like to, vote in this year's election, please enter your VIN number. And 2 months before the rally, you'll probably get an email saying, if you'd like to vote, enter your VIN number. 1 month before the rally, you'll get an email. If you don't enter your VIN number, you won't vote. And then that way, everybody can say that they've been told 3 times to do that and can't show up. Anyway, that's a thought.
Just a thought with regards to the rally, and we all basically know about rallies, and we find out the date, and we book our sites. And you find out who's coming by talking to Catherine.
Correct.
There needs to be a form on the website or somewhere that people can go and register to the rally. And on that, then you say there will be this meal provided in this, if you, and this money's gotta be sent to you.
Right. And you want to know what, you know what Redwood proposed to us? That you can't come to the rally unless you're a member of the ROG. What do you think about that?
Yep.
Not the regional, the local.
No, we're talking about the national.
Yep.
I mean, national.
Say that again? That you would not be able to register to come to the rally unless you're a member of the owners group.
I don't think it's good to restrict people from coming because to me this is good marketing for them.
Yes.
We do have people
They're the
there
one
that
that
are not
proposed.
owners.
Last year, we had a couple that were looking at Redwood.
Well, I mean, there would always be an exception
And had it-
for kids.
had
We
it
would always
different
have an exception for people that are like that, who are looking to buy into a Redwood and they want to come to the rally so they can hear all the stuff. Well, yeah, Redwood runs the rally, so I mean, they could very easily say, well, that's going to be the requirement.
They'll listen to you guys. So,
I mean, they're the one who brought it up. We didn't. So, I mean, that was one of those moments when many of us on the ROG basically just picked ourselves off the floor and said, okay.
No. We didn't say no.
No, we're not stupid.
And there's major precedent for vendor guests. People give, free tickets to events for marketing reasons that they can basically have as many. If they're going to put that requirement, and the caveat is they can invite anybody they want.
But you need to know for these things, for budgeting. If, okay, we're gonna come and we're taking part in meals, and you think a drink has 2 people. Well, they may have 5 guests with them. That's 5 extra people that you're feeding that you haven't counted for.
Not necessarily. We can say it's two bracelets. That's what
Whatever,
you're
that's the
buying.
thing.
Well, I mean,
But-
in the registration.
Yeah, that's the thing, there has to be
And
registration,
I
you
know,
can budget your food.
where's
Right,
where's
yeah,
Rob? Are you here, Rob? Rob, is he here? The one from Crossroads? Crossroads holds their rally here 2 weeks before we do. And, there he is. And can you explain a little bit about how you guys do the registration on yours? I know it's changing.
It's going to change.
Right.
Right now, what will happen is we will register through our own website for our members. So you register for this rally's 3 days long. Registration fees and everything are paid to us, and then we pay the campground. That's going to change next year. What we're going to do is we're going to get the rally rates that you guys get. And we're going to say we contact the campground and book the reservations as well as fill out our registration form online. And that way it takes some of the deviation of trying site assignments and all that stuff. And I know we've had some long conversations with Cindy about it. And it's brutal for the campground. We've been helping the campground out for the past 4 rallies of bidding. It's brutal for them to try and manage that. Us doing it, us taking the site assignments and then feeding it over to them to say, here's the site assignment. We're just going to give it to the campground and say, if you're coming to the rally, you book your 5 days in, give us your confirmation number on our registration site so we know exactly what days you're coming for. And if you're outside of the rally dates, it's first come, first served for sites. The campground's in the business of making money, and if they need to shuffle people around because they want to be next to the Fran, and they're only coming in for 3 days, that may not be able to happen. We're going to make that clear on our site, that it's just not going to be able to happen. The campground is, they're doing their best. We're going to try and fill this place so we don't have to worry about that. As well as I think you guys are on that same mission to try and fill this park up and say that's it, the only people through the door, people that are part of this rally group. If you can't do it, we got to figure out a way. And Chuck and I were talking about it the other day. Something we're also, and actually my wife was writing notes, what we've done is we've put a cutoff price for a rally. We've said that the rally is $140 for your 3-day rally with the food and all the goodies you provide. But if you don't register for that rally by May 1st, we actually bumped it up by $15. And what we're talking about doing is the people that are guests or non-members, once we get things established, will be a different rate for a non-member. Because the members that are part of that rally have been contributing for 2-3 years, whatever, to that slush fund in order to provide the food and goodies, and these non-members are not.
Right.
So if they want to get a bit of the benefit to enjoy what you're providing, what you're doing for your membership, then charge them an extra $25. I mean, that's just
so in their registration, real quick, what I want to add is that I think it says in there, if I'm not mistaken, if there's more than 2 people in the rig or whatever it may be, then there's an additional fee per person.
We charge $24 a person to cover our food costs. We cater with M&L Acres. They do a breakfast for us on Saturday morning and our supper on Saturday night. And they come to the campground and do all that food, it's $24 a day. And that's, she charges
So
$10
so they're
for
using
breakfast.
catering for their meals instead of doing potluck like we're doing.
But whatever, even potluck costs money to throw meat in a.
Well, I mean, you got, you have your expendable plates and silverware and stuff, I mean, by the way, we do have stuff or do we not?
Bring your own dishes.
No, okay, so when you guys come over here on tonight, bring, plates and silverware and that kind of stuff with you, because otherwise you may not, you'll have to eat like a pin.
We have some plates, okay, but I don't have enough plasticware.
Go ahead.
Just jump over here.
I just wanted to suggest that when you're thinking about charging people that aren't members, I think it would be good if you would let first-timers come in without belonging to the group so that they get a taste of what it's like. And then when they like it, then you can say, well, this is what it costs to join.
Let me address that real quick. We're very seriously looking at offering the first year membership is free, and then you start paying for the second year. That way people get a chance to come in and see whether they really like the owners group, and if they don't, then they can opt not to renew their membership. But again, that's one of the things we're looking at.
Just a thought that, I know, like the Harley Owners Group, you buy a new Harley, and then Harley Davidson pays for your membership that first year. It may be an idea to talk to Redwood. Anybody that purchases a new
they offered that. That was their idea.
That's good. So that gets them into the association, and then they like it, and they keep coming members.
On the form?
Not the board, what was registered for the day.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think, well, we're not, we'll get there, we'll get there.
I would separate the two conversations between membership in the owners group and the rally.
Wait a minute, that was three things. Membership?
No, membership in the owners group.
Right. And the rally.
And the rally. I think the rally is an outgrowth maybe of the owners group, but it has also different purposes. It's got, if you continue to bind these together, it's going to get a little confusing. I think you can fund one way, fund the other the
But
other.
if Redwood comes to us and says, we're going to make it a requirement that for somebody to come to rally, they have to be an owners group member, then we'll pull into it. But, I disagree with you, I'm just saying that that's a possibility.
Don't forget, Chuck, if they're going to make first year owners, members of the ROG, then they can come to the rally.
Right.
If I don't want to belong to the ROG, I can say, I'm not coming to the rally. It's my decision then. But for a first-time owner, they don't know what's going to go on. They don't have any idea. They're going to come to the rally and say, hey, this is good. I'm going to pay the $25, $35, $40, whatever it is.
Right.
Next year.
Next year.
Next year. We figure out a way to, to float in the first year.
Has there been any thought of other income? We're talking about membership, they're wanting to celebrate or separate the rally expenses. You had Tierra out here for a couple days. Might they contribute something towards the rally itself?
If you heard in there were several funding sources that we looked at and asked people if they were interested, to use that as a primary source of income. And corporate sponsorships is one, advertising was one. I don't think we really had any, rally was one of rally fees, but yeah, there could, that would fall under the corporate sponsorships. If you want to show up at our rally to advertise your products, then this is what the fee's going to be. Or if nothing else, you're going to have to make some kind of a contribution, and with a minimum or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and really with the way this is kind of coming together with regards to the rally, Redwood is going to organize the national rally. Redwood has also started wanting to do regional rallies, but because a regional rally, a rally of 3 people isn't a rally, it's just a barbecue. So what they're thinking about doing, and I know Vita and Terry are going to help with this on a kind of a national way for regional rallies, is to combine Crossroads and Redwood into one rally, and you kind of have a rally within a rally. And that they're going to not on a corporate level organize. They're going to look to the ROG and for Terry and Avita to kind of work through that. If that makes any sense.
Well, what's something that we brought up to Crossroads, whether we with Andy the other day, I don't know, we talked about that, talked about doing the attend a regional rally, we'd have something between, whether it be Redwood or Crossroads, and they would provide some sort of benefit for you coming to the national rally. So we haven't worked that out yet.
Right.
Those are things for
Yeah,
time.
he said something, it really wasn't in our formal meeting, but he did make mention that if somebody were to attend a regional rally in Atlanta or something like that, and it's hypothetical, we're not having one in Atlanta, and then they decide they want to come to the national rally, that they get some extra trinkets of some sort. So, but yeah, that was something that we talked
Just to
about.
try and build those regional rallies.
Okay.
We're going to do all the Canadian rallies, we're going to do 3 of those across Canada, and we're going to combine them. Just because, if you want to say you're going to have a Redwood rally or a Crossroads rally, you may not have, like you say, 3 or 4 people, and that just turns into a campfire party, not really a rally.
One other thing I want to make sure everybody understands, when Redwood / Crossroads approached us I think they approached Avita first about the concept of the regional rallies, although we had been telling them that we were looking to do that, we were going in that direction. But they asked her to kind of head it up. What I'm trying to say right now is they will be a combined rally for both Crossroads and Redwood. Although they assured me, and they probably told Dave the same thing, that when they have a regional rally, that there would be, we asked that we would have all the Redwoods parked in one area together, and that if we felt like we really needed to have some time where we could spend time with the Redwood owners alone, then they were perfectly agreeable to that. But there's really a lot of value in having a combined rally, in the sense that, if you guys remember what the seminars were yesterday morning, or the workshops with all the different vendors, there was the AC guys, and there was the stove guys, and the roof guys. I'm not sure they used alpha on the other roofs, but regardless, almost all those other components of the RV, they're the same whether it's a Crossroads or whether it's a Redwood. All right. So they can have the workshops where it's appropriate for the entire audience. The other big bang in that is you guys got guys that are going to be showing up for one of those regional rallies, with a less expensive coach than what we're driving. Okay, and that's not to say that we're heroes and they're not. That just means that we're fortunate enough and blessed that we were able to afford to buy one of these things. But it's a great sales tool for them, and it's a great way for us, to be salespeople for them, if you will, to talk about our coaches, to let them come in and look at them, and things like that. I see it as a great opportunity. Right, and yeah, when we set this thing up, Jay just reminded me, when we set this thing up, it's inclusive of every product that is put out by the Redwood brand, and that includes Redwood, Blackwood, Cypress, and Sequoia. So if we've got people that are pulling one of those coaches, the Blackwood, which has been out of production now for a couple of years, and I understand Cypress is probably going to no longer exist, if I'm not mistaken. That's not official yet, but that's what I'm hearing. Further production is probably going to be both. And if you guys were at the factory today, I know Steve, the guy that we were with, every time he made reference to the coaches, he said Redwood and Sequoia. I never heard him say Cypress once the whole day.
What's Cameo?
Cameo is a Crossroads product, along with Kerry.
They're also doing a horse trailer.
And I understand they're doing away with the road.
Seriously, bison.
Okay, so again, let's try and finish up. And the reason I really keep pushing this because the part he hasn't gone over yet is what you guys or what we asked was important for you as stuff that we as a owners group need to work on for you guys, for our owners. You know? And when I say you guys, understand, there's 4 of us up here, we have 1 other board member. There's 5 of us total. Andy Patterson, who is my vice president, and he is somewhere in the world on a cruise ship. He's been gone forever, and I can't wait for him to get back. But there's 5 of us right now. We have a board of 8, so we need 3 people to fill vacancies on our board. Plus, we need a lot of people who will help us with the committees that we want to establish so we can really start moving forward with this thing. So before we leave here, I'm going to have a pad out here for people to be able to write their names, their contact information, and what particular area you may be interested in. My biggest need right now is a secretary. I need a secretary on my board. Any volunteers? Any volunteers for a secretary? Oh, come on.
What is a secretary?
Come on, we're just get like Andy. Come on! Okay, that's a very good question. We meet by conference call once a month. And a lot of emails. A lot of emails. So, but I need a secretary and I need 2 directors. I've got a couple of people who responded on the survey. Let me rephrase that. There were 17 people on the survey who indicated they'd be willing to help volunteer. Huge. That's great. I love it. 2 of them volunteered to come on the board, but neither one of them wanted to be the secretary. So I need a secretary really, 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 really bad. I don't need a secretary. The law needs a. What do they do? Good question. The secretary is responsible for taking minutes at the meetings. They're responsible for correspondence, which we have none at this point. Most of the correspondence is either done by myself or one of the other board members when we need to. But quite frankly, we really haven't had any. But those primarily are the roles for the secretary. The big one, of course, is taking the minutes. On our board meetings, we try and record. We use a conferencing service that offers the ability to record the call. So we use those, and then so our current secretary, and then go afterwards, and listen to it and transcribe it to hard paper, or hard computer stuff. So.
How about we do this, rather than,
And just think about it for right now.
Yeah, if you're interested in helping, that's about as shameless as Chuck will get. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him beg before. But if you're interested in helping, we need a lot of things, as I said. Come approach us tonight at the potluck and talk to us offline. We can exchange contact information. And frankly, the responsibility of an owners group falls on the owners. If you want to be part of it and you want to see it succeed, we need your help. That's really the end of it. So, do you have anything else?
No, I want you to finish that so we can.
Yeah.
Because where I want to go next is, you've heard this. Now you tell us what you think is important.
Well, the majority of the responses as to what you want from the ROG fell into primarily technical information. We've known that for years. We're doing the best we can to compile it. And anybody that wasn't at the presentation yesterday, I understand we've already compiled a library of about 55 or 60 manuals that cover everything from appliances to window shades. That's great. The best thing about an owners group is crowdsourced data. So we need to get, if you guys come across any manuals that you yourself run into, I need this, and you've now found it on the web, downloaded it or whatever, send it our way so we can post it for everybody else. That was when asked, what do you want out of it? The question, I think, also was taken a lot on, when they say the ROG, they were responding primarily to the website. What I would like to hear, and I think we've heard a lot about it today, what else besides the website are you guys interested in? That's really the answer you want, right, Jeff?
Well, and I agree with them. A lot of people's perception of what the ROG is the forum. Because most owners, that's what they see, I mean, that's the only thing they see that is really a tool that the owners have at this point. And the forums, whether you like them or love them or whatever it may be, or don't like them and whatever. That's just this much, it really is this much of what we can do. Okay? So, we know forums are important, and we don't want to dispute that. We could have conversations about the forums, but I'm not going to go there. It's going to work itself out one way or another. Just know that the forum that we run is administered by the ROG, and we want good quality conversation on it. And if things go into the weeds, we're going to take them offline. Okay? So I'll leave it at that. But aside from that, what is it that you guys are looking for out of an owner's group?
A list of good dealers.
Yeah, number one.
Okay, I hear you.
Crowdsourced data, so if I put up a form where the members can tell us what dealers you like, whether they be Redwood or otherwise, you guys would go ahead and participate in that?
Maybe a rating? A rating scale?
Well,
0 to 5 or something, you say?
Yeah, so somebody puts up, and I'm not sure how you plan on doing it, but what I envision is, TRRV, I had a great experience with them, and then, or TRR, just put in there dealers you would like to rate or something like that, put TRRV, and owners could come in there and give them a score of 1 to 10, whatever it may be, and perhaps have the ability to make comments.
Yeah, if they've had phenomenal experience.
Okay. With something like
Yeah,
that.
like RV Parks Review or whatever.
Yeah. And understand this would be totally independent, would not have input from Redwood. Understand Redwood can't do this. They can't do it. They won't tell you that, but I'll tell you they can't do it. There's too much liability in it. But there's nothing that would stop us from saying, I went to this dealer, I bought it from them, their sales force is great, but their service is horrible. Okay?
I would be careful how I list it on a public forum. All right? If you're really happy with the service, but you're not happy with the sales, outstanding service, sales leaves something to be desired.
And you may want to also include in there, my experience was this, because, for somebody to come on and say their service is horrible, well, it was for me, but that doesn't mean it was for you if you went there, so.
Or what you had done and how long it took.
Right. Okay,
And,
so I
and
think.
don't just limit it to things that you don't like.
Right.
What we
We wanna hear
really,
the
to
good
your
stuff.
point, what we want is the good dealers.
Right. And let me expand on that even further. How many of you guys, just out of curiosity, have used independent service companies to have work done? Good experiences or bad? Good. Good. Next? Okay. Most everybody I know, when they work with an independent, that's great. Yes, sir.
Before you mention any service company's name on the form, I'd be talking to legal about that.
Well, where are we?
If you're going to be putting it on the form, which is a public domain, people are going to see it. You be careful, I'll be talking to legal.
We can put it behind.
Is there any lawyers in the house?
We can put it
See,
behind
what
the
I'm
house.
saying there is if you're gonna put something on there, best be sure you stated the facts. Don't exaggerate it, don't blow it up,
All
just
we
make
want,
it look
all we
pretty.
want on this list is a good service person. We don't want the name of a bad service person.
You're going to get it.
But we want to know bad
But
experience.
wouldn't it be the same as a form? Yeah, if it's on a form?
This probably wouldn't be on the forum. This would be.
No, it's under the resources
So in
section
other
would
words,
put-
the only way you can get to this would be if you have a user ID and password. So it wouldn't be public, it would be restricted to.
Redwood owners group.
Oh, yeah, be truthful in the comments.
If it gets put on the form, even under the password, I can say, okay, I'll print it off, I'll give it to my friend who's just been cited by this person over here.
I got you.
And he's got it printed. So So like I said,
Well, we'd have to put some,
go through
we'd have
legal
to
and
Well, we can definitely put some CYA language out there,
Right.
that this is the opinion of the individual, it does not represent
all
what
I'm
the
saying
Redwood owners.
is talk to a lawyer.
I appreciate that. That's good feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Woman in red, she's out of.
Yay!
I'm sorry
I
to
was
refer
gonna
to you.
suggest, rather than leaving it open where people put comments, that you say, here's the name of the dealership, here's their city and state location, rate them 1 through 5 for service, 1 through 5 for sales, and that is it. No comments, either this is the rating you give them, and that's it. Then I
Okay, so
think
let me
that
ask
might
you
be
this.
safer
I
too.
appreciate that. That's good feedback.
Well, in the case of, say, TripAdvisor, which is a similar service for restaurants, I find the comments fairly useful.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
only thing I can
but
compare it
you
to.
could add an asterisk that says, can you be contacted for, you know, personal info, or, you know, more descriptive stuff. That way, a member contacts a member and says, I noticed you gave them a 3 out of 5. Can you share what happened?
I think the requirement would be, A, your user ID is associated with that comment, and we always have the private messaging system, and you can
Yeah,
send
we like
email.
that.
Sure.
And then again, do we want to link the user to the
I
comment?
think it need, in order to keep it truthful,
Okay.
just like the
That's
form.
fair. Yeah, that way there's no sniping.
I think
Yeah.
you're being too,
The woman in green, I'm sorry.
Legally, how is it any different than whenever we stay in a hotel, we always read the comments first? That, how is it any
From
different?
TripAdvisor, et cetera.
I don't think it is, actually, yeah.
I don't know.
I think you're being overly,
What's that?
I think you're being overly cautious because when I look for a dealership or a store or something like this, you can usually hit something that says reviews. That you get a whole stack of things and one of them will say reviews.
Okay.
Some of them are pretty nasty and this and that, and others say, and they'll be on the same dealership or store sometimes. One will say, I had a good experience, and then you'll have 6 or 7, these people are terrible, don't ever go to them. And I think you're being overly cautious.
No, we're not saying we're gonna do it.
I don't really think,
I mean,
think
this
it's a
is,
great
this is
suggestion.
just, at this point, we're asking for what do you guys want?
but I don't think that
So everything
they
we're
really
hearing
come in
here
and
is gonna
sue
be
you for
under
your
consideration.
personal opinion.
I'm gonna take one more, and then I'm gonna say, okay, this is something you guys feel is important, and then we'll move on.
And so I actually had a different idea. Because you asked, do you want, what do we want you to do? I'd like trip reviews or, you know, not just park reviews, but places people have gone and,
So,
you know.
well, we have the ability for people to blog on it, on our forum, or on our website. So you can post, you can post something in the forum, said, I just went on a trip to Oregon, it was phenomenal, here's my blog, and you can actually put the URL in there, and people can go to it and see it.
And also, anything that's in the blog, anything that's in a blog on the website, you go to the global search,
Right.
upper right-hand corner, it'll search the blog.
But I don't know if I want to read everybody's blog and go through the 25 pages to get to this, you know. To me,
Let's take it offline, I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear your thoughts on how it would work.
That's a good, we got it more of them, right, Jim? Trip reports? We're on it, okay. What else?
What feedback are we providing to
Right now, well, the only written feedback we give them is the results of the survey. They've already got the results of the survey. They've been analyzing them now for about a week. Yeah. Other than that, give you a little behind the scenes. I'm on the phone with Jim Lazzarino on average twice a week. Okay. I look at the forums, both of them. And when I see common threads going on, I'm on the phone with him, or I'll send him an email, one of the two. This thing with the warranty that Andy announced yesterday, Jim and I and Andy have been talking about that for a while. We had a board meeting with Andy and Jim. The board met with Andy and Jim on Thursday afternoon, and that's where that really came to a head. And as he said, we thought that transfer warranty was important. And he said, no. And we said, why? And he said, because I don't want to. He told you that yesterday, right? Isn't that fine? He told you exactly what he told us.
Ultimately,
No,
I think the decision was made on three things. Andy's a really reasonable guy. Okay, he wants to do people right, and as he pointed out, their goodwill cost is higher than anybody in that door owns. Number two, we pointed out that it's a huge marketing bullet point for dealers. So if his dealer has one vehicle and a Redwood that's a year and a half old, and they can say you still have 6 months on the warranty, the dealer's probably going to sell that one. And number three, for owners, and Jim actually even gave a little bit of the technical how this will help, it's really good for resale value. So I think those are the 3 points he looked at and says, yeah, it's good. It's a good enough reason for him to take the risk to make it happen. So there you have it. One thing to the point of giving feedback to Redwood, there is a specific category on the forum called Redwood suggestions, or suggestion for Redwood. And Christian monitors that. So when any thread is put up there, she immediately gets notified, and people can comment on it. So if it's like, I want X, Y, Z, and then anybody that's there, I would suggest people either monitor it or subscribe to it so you can hear suggestions. And it's nice when one person makes a suggestion, if 15 other people say, yeah, thumbs up, then that's going to, again, add volume to the voice that goes over to Redwood.
So, to expand on that just a little bit, all y'all, how many of y'all are on the forum, one or the other one right now? Just out of curiosity. What's the better question is, who is it? Okay, that's fair. I mean, the forums are what they are. One of them obviously has significantly more traffic than the other one. But you guys all know, all of you who are using the forums know that Christian, came in and made a very bubbly announcement that she and Taylor were online and they want to hear all your wonderful stories about living in Redwood. That's what they brought her online for. Hold on a second. Okay, as you guys know, that has changed. Okay, she has now become, whether she liked it or not, the voice of Redwood to the user group or to the forum group. And she will be the first one to admit that she has no technical knowledge. She has no idea of what you guys are talking about. But she has put herself in a position where she'll be the interface back to Redwood. So you can either raise a point on the forum, or you can PM her with something that is a concern to you, or you can PM any of us on the forums. I'm on both. These guys are primarily on, Jay I think is also on both. But the rest of us are only on primarily the ROG forum. Understand I'm very restricted as to what I can respond back on the commercial forum. But regardless of that, if you PM me, then I can talk to you individually and we can go from there. And I don't want to get into any politics with that forum. They do a very good service. Okay, so, yes ma'am.
How about more fun around?
More what?
Fun.
More fun? Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
For younger people, that like they like the music, they like to.
Games, they had games around here.
Play rallies.
We need a social for all that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, no, that's very valid. I appreciate that comment. You got it recorded.
Can I ask something? One of the things that I know Avita put a lot of effort in along with the campground to get the women together before and do an outing, and I know everybody had a blast. I understand. My point is, ma'am, sorry, in order to make that happen, we need help. We need somebody to organize it. Can we count on you to maybe come forward and help us with that? No?
got it. I
got
agree.
I'm not dead yet.
Ma'am, there is a lot going on the rallies right now, and the formation of how they're being done, both the national and with the data on the regionals and the 6 regions and so on like that. And that is going to include fun. This gives us a chance to get this all together, because you gotta remember, this is a young organization. This one and Club Crossroads that is forming up now, right? And aren't we all discussing it? We're going there. We just got to have time to do it, because it doesn't happen overnight, because it does take a lot of people volunteering to make these things happen. That's all I ask, and I know that's what Aveda asked. Give us a chance to get everything together, and I promise you what you see next year is going to be a lot of difference. Really.
And anybody that wants to help with fun, talk to
Let us know.
Because,
right?
Yep.
Okay. What else? What else is important? Everybody said technicals. I haven't heard anything technical yet. Let's talk technical. What's important to you technically?
I want an annual checklist, simple checklist of what I need to do to maintain my code.
It's in your owner's manual.
Or I could talk to the dealer, but I would like in one place a simple list.
That we're gonna have to talk to the lawyers about.
No, that's very good.
That's a good suggestion.
Understand that, it could be different for each.
I get it, but if we start in one place,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know.
I agree. Yes, sir.
Something I've always wondered about, because this started last year and this started recently, and just a general idea of how much something should cost. Just for an example, last year I had my annual inspection done by Camping World. They didn't charge me anything. This year I had it done by the dealer. They charged me $250. I mean, I have no idea what, in general, anything should. What's a reasonable cost?
I can tell you one thing, that some of them won't charge you for the annual inspection, but they'll charge you for your annual maintenance. Some of them will charge you for the annual inspection. So it's not apples to apples.
Well, that's just one thing, but I mean, in general, there should be some kind of resource to say, well, it should be maybe between these parameters to have this job done, so that we can judge whether we got somebody else.
I'm not, yeah, we'll look at that, yeah.
Here's an example. Lately, I saw 3 items on there. Name the dealer where I bought it from, the price that I paid for it, and where you can get it. And that, if everybody else did kind of the same thing along the way, then you could kind of see regionally what you should expect along the way. But you could do that through the form. That's not an issue. That's really.
I can put that on the my rig portion of the profile as well. Thank you. What you have, what year, what you pay for.
Just guys, gives everybody a general idea what to say.
That's a tough list. That's a
Well, at least where you got.
As far as purchase price of your rig, that's in all the other forums we've had so far, that's been.
Oh, no.
That would get. We don't want people saying what they pay for. If you're talking about for maintenance costs. Accessories maintenance.
Just posted on there where I got my recliners lately.
Okay.
Just posted on there where I bought some good rim tires.
No, that's all good. But perhaps we could have something in the office.
Why don't you want to post?
Because you make a joke of it when you're in the same place about his rig for this, and another guy came in and he, again, get such a better deal, and then you have a major. Then I go to the dealer, go, wait a minute.
Different legal, right?
I know, exactly.
No, that's all good. That's all good. All right. So I think we captured the accessories and stuff like that. have the ability to capture that information with cost. And what's really important there is where you source it from, and I believe you did, if I remember correctly. But, because if somebody's interested in that, they're gonna wanna know where it came from. Okay, what else?
On this one, are you able to post pictures? You know,
Yes.
we do-
Keep me honest, Ken.
What? Yeah, pictures. You have your own photo gallery. You can do albums.
Someone does a rescan or modify.
Yeah, so there's two things in the form relative to that. There's actually a owner modification library. You contribute your modifications. It asks what it costs, who did it, you know, here's pictures of what it is, before and after, so forth and so on.
That helps a lot of people to see.
And they're categorized by, I think room, actually, bathroom, bedroom, etc. The other thing is, in your profile, there's actually a tab, which is photo gallery. So you can post, create albums, and do whatever you want, have a blast. I only speak to our site. Yeah. There is one other thing I'll just throw out there, and there was a member who suggested a kind of a site-wide photo gallery, which is a good idea, and my thought is to add to the photo gallery, or the photo album, include this album in site-wide, so that everybody can go to one site and see what people want, rather than going into each individual profile. So that's coming soon to a ROG near you.
Okay.
May I say something?
Yeah, please do.
In regards to the regional rally, okay, that we're going to be pulling together in 2016, if you think that you might be someone who may want to volunteer to help with that, when you come up here to volunteer for, put your name on the list, write your name, write it down. I'm willing to do that. So when we come to that region, scheduling for that, we'll contact you and make you a big part of this. And we need help, there's no doubt about that. So if you think that's something that, we have 6 regions that we're gonna be doing, okay?
Working with the ROG is fun.
Yes, we do have a breakdown of the
Maybe you
regions.
just keep forgetting about the 7. Us funny people on the other side of the border.
Our northern friends.
We have excluded Indiana, obviously, since this is gonna be our home, we're gonna come here every single year, so it will never be here, obviously. But since we have 48 states that we have to divide into 6 regions, we are pairing up with real strong dealerships that can be our support. And of course, that's a two-way street, right? We're gonna support them, they're gonna support us. So, we got the list, and we will make that up as soon as we have the locations, etc. It will be on Club Crossroads. They're going to take that information. You're going to be able to go there and actually click on it and sign up for your rally in your region. It's going to be very cool. Redwood, Crossroads Redwood is going to help us with that. But it's exciting, and I hope that you all will reach out to your own regions and become a big part of it, okay?
Well, just to add one thing on what Lady's saying, I know she said 48 states.
I'm sorry.
And Canada, we're going to do 3 regions in Canada as well. And that's the conversations we're having with Crossroads, do a Club Crossroads thing. 3 regions across, probably 1 Western Canada, 2 in Alberta, something central in Ontario, trying to draw in the Quebec sort of group, and then an Eastern Coast line. If there is people that are Canadians that are here that are interested in helping out with those ones, if you do put your name on the list, please do that. Chuck will share that with me. He has my email. Lady, he has my email as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. I think we can make this something really good. Everybody looks at that Forest River rally over there with 975 units in it that started today. I mean, why can't we do that with Crossroads and Redwood and have a big rally like that? They segregate people and into their, their brand specific stuff. But it's a great time. They do a fantastic thing over there, so we should be able to do that. If we get enough people to help us, we can be there too. There's no reason we can't.
Okay, thank you guys. And we're invading on your time right now. So with that, I got a couple of things real quick. The rally dates for 2016, the national rally. August 4 through 6, that's a Thursday through Saturday, so the 7th, I guess, would be included in that, for travel home or whatever. August 4 through 6, here is Shipshewana. Again, say that they're really going to blow out the service request thing to include, factory service.
That's not a definite yet.
Well, that's pretty,
It's pretty close, but
I
yeah.
would say it's pretty sure. But with the expanded factory capacity for service the week before, the week after, very likely we're going to do the thing with Coop on the maintenance. That's still being developed, so we'll work that as soon as we know.
Had some fun. That's exciting.
The campground is ready right now for you to tell them you're going to be here next year if you like. A couple of reminders on that. They're not going to be talking to you about a specific site because they're going to reserve that until when you get here so they can manage their campground. That's what they do. Okay? They will, however, if there is someone that you would like to be next to or very close to, they will certainly take that into consideration, and note it in your reservation so they can try and accommodate that as best as possible. Okay? I mentioned to you guys early on that the original forum owner, or whatever you want to call him, Tony Lane. Tony is now with us. Could you please stand up so people recognize you for taking the effort to make this thing Tony obviously was one of our original board members. He is also a dealer, and he's a busy man. So a few months ago, he asked to resign from the board because it was just too much for him with his current business requirements and all. But Tony, thank you so much for what you did for us in the early stages and even before we started in starting up the Tony L Forum, which is known when the wars began. But anyway, Tony did play an instrumental role in helping us get this thing off the ground. So again, thank you very much for your effort. I'm going to put my notebook up here for people to write their name. And what I like is name, email, and phone number. And if there's a specific area that you might be interested in, just please list it. And again, when we have the social hour this evening for the covered dish, seek out one of the four of us if there's something specific you want to ask about, because we would love to talk to you about it. If you can't tell, the four of us are really jazzed about what we're doing, and we want you guys to play in our sandbox. So with that, Lady E, I'll turn it